Hi, this is Roger, thanks for dropping by. I've had millions of complaints. Thousands of complaints have been coming in. You know, I mean, in their hundreds they've been... Actually, I've had this complaint. Only larking around, and it wasn't a complaint, it was a constructive criticism, and I'm all for that sort of stuff. It's a new channel, and although I'm not new to YouTube, I mean, my Orchid channel's been running too long perhaps, and you get set in your ways, but this is a whole new ball game for me. I haven't got many trees. That's my main complaint about running a YouTube channel. I have about 170 orchids. I have a dozen bonsai trees, and as you all know, in the world of bonsai, things move relatively slowly. So you cycle round the trees that you've got, showing a little bit of work now and again, or saying your plans. But the complaint or constructive criticism was that although my orchids are very pretty, or words to that effect, they don't make a very good backdrop. And I had to think about it, and I thought, yeah, you're absolutely right. Now this setup is what I use for when I'm doing a showcase orchid video. Or I have a set of orchids called the Project Orchids, which I run throughout the year. They're a set of orchids that I look at every 2 months, plan, estimate what their progress is going to be, and then revisit them, look at the previous videos from 2 months ago, look at them as they are now, and that sounded like a bit of a good idea for the bonsai as well, because looking at other people's channels and the sort of things they do, they often do that, but not quite to this extent. So I can't start now, we're halfway through the year, aren't we? But I thought that next year I would actually do this as a project. Tell me what you think. As a project, I'll film the trees at the beginning of the year, which in the case of the deciduous ones is prior to bud burst, basically, so in their winter plumage, i.e. nude, and the pines as they are at that sort of state. And then every so often, I'm not going to do all my trees, that'll be a bit, although I might do, I haven't got many, have I? I'll think about how many, but the idea is to do a short video of the state of the tree and put that video away, not delete it like I normally do, put it away, and then a couple of months later get that video out, stick it into a new video as a startup sort of thing, and then video the tree as it currently is, sort of like, well, that would be 2 months later, and do a direct comparison of the first video with the second one, and then perhaps 2 months later again get the previous video out and compare it with the tree as it is now. Now this is my European Hornbeam. This has got a good trunk, a lot of which is now hidden by this year's growth, which is pushing on really well. And my maintenance on this tree, because I needed it to grow, I need it to get a bit taller. And at the moment it refuses to push out a shoot good enough to be a new apex, you know, stick another 6 inches on the top. I'm working on it. You know, you can only work with what you've got. But all I'm doing as far as maintenance is concerned is every time I go out and walk past the tree, I take a quick look and go, well, you can come off. You can come off. And you can come off. That's all I can see at the moment. So just 3 shoot tips to take off. You do get shoot tips hiding away underneath others sometimes, but given that you can see where others have been dealt with, dealt with like that. So that's the game with this one at the moment. It's got nice form to the trunk, except for the fact that you can't see it. It's in there somewhere. And I do get an awful lot of branches that shoot out from the trunk. They tend to get snipped off prior to bud burst in the spring, leaving the ones I want, basically. So anyway, as I said, does that make a better backdrop? The problem I've got is that I like to work in here. which for the smaller trees is not a problem. When we get to the bigger ones, it is a problem. For instance, if I try and spin that tree round now, it's going to bash against the backdrop. So while I'm spinning it around, yeah, I spotted another one. Now notice how lopsided that tree is. This is something I've got to work on, and I need to start now. That's the back of the tree, yes, but you can see that that tree is leading towards the light. Yeah? And if you didn't know, you could tell by just doing that. Now obviously that's the side that gets the most light. So every now and again that tree needs turning to even it up. Now you could say, well, why bother? If that's the front, that's the view you're going to look at it. You know, that's its main view, so is it worth bothering? Well, it's all geared up to getting the balance of the way the photosynthesis works. And when you've got, well, that's a pretty spider. I don't actually like spiders, but when they're that big they get to stay. They eat other bugs that we can do without. But yeah, it's a difficult thing to say why I think that the light should be even and it should come in from all sides on a rotor basis, basically. I mean, some people may do a quarter turn every couple of weeks, something like that. Bearing in mind you only need to do it while the leaves are on, so you're not exactly working hard all year round, are you? Anyway, for the person who made the constructive criticism of your beautiful orchids don't make a very good backdrop, and I thoroughly agree, is that a better idea? My workbench is only so big, but certainly for the smaller trees, that backdrop, I can extend it. You know, this can come up round here, so I can play with it. You'll love this. Guess why that's there? I did say that that's the setup I use when I'm doing a showcase for my orchids. That's there because I needed to take some pictures of the guitar I'm selling. That's the only reason I set that up today. I'm selling one guitar to get another one. I have my spare bedroom. This is nothing to do with bonsai, so if you don't want to listen to things that are not to do with bonsai, bail out now, because this is non-bonsai stuff. I have the basis for a home music studio in the spare bedroom, and it was put on hold when I moved into this place in December because the radiator in that room didn't work. There was flipping freezing in there. You can't do music stuff when you need your gloves and scarf and hat on. It just doesn't work. So it got put off, and the radiator eventually got fixed, and then because that room is in what you could call the front of the house, it now gets the belting sun on the window and the room's too hot. So I've bought a blind so I can shut that heat out, but it's a project that's going to sort of take off, I think, as we head towards winter. As we all know, come the autumn and leaf drop, the bonsai hobby shuts down. Not completely, but it goes to the extent that there's hardly anything to do week on week on week. So from that point of view, it's not exactly a busy time of year in the bonsai world. My orchids do a similar thing. A lot of them stop growing in the winter, and that's because I can't afford to heat this place and maintain those daytime temperatures that they would like. And also they come from the tropics. And in the tropics you get 11 to 13 hours of daylight every day of the year. We don't get that in the UK. We go down to 8 hours or even a bit less. So they just stop growing. Well, if they're not growing, they don't need much effort, do they? But yeah, the music room, I believe, will become my winter hobby. I mean, I've got an electronic drum kit, I've got an acoustic guitar, I've got my bass guitar, which at one point in my life I earned a living from. I've got a 6-string guitar which I'm putting up as a trade-in to get a better one, and I have some keyboards, and I have the software on the laptop, guitar amp, decent microphone. I've got all I need for a home studio. It would be better if I was a decent musician, but I can waffle through on the music front to put things together to make some music. So that's going to be my winter project. So that's why this setup's here, to take some decent photos of my guitar, to actually trade it in for another one, providing they give me a decent price. If not, it'll go on eBay, but I needed the pictures one way or the other. But anyway, as far as a backdrop for the bonsai is concerned, I presume that works. The only problem I've got is I use a video camera, and that's landscape. Fundamentally, it's landscape. And this has a, what's the opposite? How's it? Portrait orientation. You know, which would lend itself to using a phone, for instance, because then you wouldn't get all the edges. And I'm not cropping it, I'm not messing about with my editor to actually take the edges off to just leave the black background. All I needed was, from the advice of the person who made the suggestion, a backdrop that will allow people to see what I'm doing. Well, looking down there doesn't matter, does it? This is the bit we would be working on, so that was the general idea. So say what you think about the project idea. I've been doing it on my orchids for years, and it goes down well. But the idea of doing it with the bonsai trees has only really cropped up like now. So, you know, starting at the beginning of the year, a video of a select few trees, analysis of what they look like, and my thoughts of where I would like them to be in 2 months' time. Then in 2 months' time we get the old video out and we video it again to see if I've achieved my goals, if I need to adjust my expectations. Yeah, and project that on through the year, a couple of months at a time, for a select number of trees. We might even play the game of you help me choose the trees. Yeah. Now, the other thing you'll have discovered with my YouTube Bonsai channel is I talk a lot. Sorry about that, that's just me, you know. I think a YouTube channel involves part of the personality of the person who's doing it. Well, you get a lot of chat with me, whether you like it or not. You can always bail out. Anyway, is that a better backdrop than my very beautiful orchids? And the simple answer is yes, it is, isn't it? And thanks for the spark. The person who suggested that as a constructive criticism made me put the thinking cap on and come up with that. So there we go. See you next time. Thanks for dropping by and all that stuff. Oh, and if you're watching this and you're not actually subscribed to the channel, it would be awfully nice if you did so. It costs nothing. A lot of people look at that word subscribe and think there's money involved. Well, there isn't. It costs you nothing. All it does is make YouTube perk up and look at the channel in a pleasant light, on the grounds that it appears to be growing, because there's new subscribers coming in all the time. So if you're not subscribed, it would be nice if you did so, and that also relates to the old thumbs up bit, the old like button. That helps YouTube see the channel in a good light as well. And yeah, thanks for dropping by. Nice little afternoon chat. It's been chucking it down with rain all morning. I had to wait for the rain to stop to film because the noise on the roof is outrageous, and now the sun's gone out. So yeah, a bright light on a miserable start to the day. See you next time. Bye for now.